I always say it was not that I had a wonderful mind or I was very bright, but somehow or other I had the gift to care.
I found out about Audrey's biography bit by bit.
The remarkable life and career of Dr. Audrey Evans began in York, England in 1925.
It was a beautiful old town, walled town. I went to Quaker school. Then I went to boarding school in Bristol. And then the war came and I came back from Bristol and then went back to the Mount School as a senior.
After fighting tuberculosis, she eventually made up for lost education time and went on to the Royal College in Edinburgh, Scotland for medical school and a residency at the Royal Infirmary.
No, I had 3 jobs in the Royal Infirmary. My first house officer job was on the surgical ward, and all the wards were double, so one side was male and one side was female, and you had 2 residents.
But in those days it was actually quite tough to become a doctor, particularly if you were a girl.
Just after the war, I was alone. I was the only woman. I wasn't allowed to be in the residency anymore, and I had to go and live above one of the medical wards. Mostly, I could really laugh. I thought, guys, you are so, kids, a bunch of kids. And then I thought it would be fun to go to America. So I applied for a Fulbright, went to Boston, and first job I did was at Beverly Hospital. So I did 6 months at the Beverly Hospital. I wanted to do pediatrics.
Then you find out that she is a remarkable physician of note.
Audrey worked with the renowned Dr. Sidney Farber and fellow colleagues, all working to treat children with cancer.
He was a very caring man. I tended to be running his inpatient unit.
She worked closely with Giulio D'Angio, the radiation oncologist at Boston Children's Hospital.
And Dan was in oncology and tells you the story.
In about 1954, I would think.
That the first time he met Dr. Evans, she was sitting at his desk.
Going through my mail. Sets the tone. There she is.
Well, I mean, I went down to see him in his office.
I said, oh, hello.
I was looking through his mail.
And we developed a very close working relationship.
To make life in hospital more fun or more tolerable. As far as I was concerned, anything that anybody wanted to do would go. One child who wanted to bring a bunny into the hospital with her. And I said, that's fine, go ahead and bring your bunny. And this particular child, in radiation therapy, she would not lie still and they couldn't treat her. And next time she came, I had to go with her. She said, well, can I take my bunny? I said, of course you can take your bunny. So Audrey and the child and the bunny in the cage. It's a long, long way. It's a very long hospital. It's about 2 blocks practically. So she goes along swinging her poor bunny in the cage. So she goes straight in, she goes to the table, she upends the bunny on the table. The bunny goes like this, The radiation therapy technicians are sort of, what's this? I said, the bunny's come to have his treatment too. Oh yes, She leaves that. She climbs up the seat of one of the technicians, looking through the window. She says, now, bunny, you have to be quiet. So the bunny's terrified, and so he's just sitting there like this. So she waits a few minutes and just gets down off there. She goes back, now, bunny, you're all done, okay. So she leaves the bunny in the cage down there. She climbs, I don't know how she climbs on the thing. She lies back. She pulls up her shirt like this. She said, okay. And they're all going. And so as we leave with the bunny in his cage, having had his treatment, and she's going on happily, I said, that's how you give radiation therapy. And they're all going. So I think we took the bunny for the rest of the treatment.
Then you find out that she was the founder of the pediatric oncology service at CHOP.
Dr. Chick Coop heard about her and then enticed her to come and be in charge of the pediatric oncology program at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia.
He said, will you do it? And I said, why not? I'll do it, yes. Sounds good.
Then you find out that she's a trailblazer in her field.
She wanted to develop a staging system. Stage 1 being best outlook and stage 4 worst outlook.
I had 5x5 file cards, put the cards in piles. And then I sent the data to one of the statisticians and said, does this mean anything? And he came back and said, yes, you did. You have got a stratification that tells you at the beginning, what is the likelihood of this person surviving?
And the Evans system is still the basis for how we think about the disease neuroblastoma, but cancer in general.
I guess that's my claim to fame.
Audrey's impact on neuroblastoma has been dramatic, where the cure rates are in the high 80-90% range now. And the same is true with Wilms tumors.
Then you find out that she was the founder of Ronald McDonald House.
Audrey's, some might say, biggest contribution was the opening of the McDonald houses and the explosion of them across the world.
In 1974, Philadelphia Eagles general manager Jim Murray came to Audrey with a gift.
The same year that I became a fellow at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. What she wanted was a house where people could stay.
In West Philadelphia near the hospital, because at the old hospital, the men went to the armed forces place where they could stay, and the women went to the YWCA.
On October 15, 1974, the very first Ronald McDonald House opened right here in Philadelphia, ensuring families would have a place to stay while their children were being treated for cancer.
We give them a place to relax, and just speaking and sharing their experiences with other families.
The reverence that the mothers, fathers too, but it was mainly the mothers who I met, had for Audrey, and just the trust they had in her was amazing.
Without Audrey starting the houses, they would be sitting by the hospital beds of their children, never leaving.
Today, there are more than 300 Ronald McDonald houses in over 57 countries and regions worldwide.
My interactions with Audrey were the reason why I went to medical school and why I became a pediatric oncologist.
Then you find out that she's a horsewoman, and then you find out that she's a scuba diver, and then you find out that she's traveled the world. And then you find out that she's going to be married for the first time at the age of 80. When Audrey retired, I was happy to be there on the night when they unveiled her portrait. And it's very obvious to me that in her field, the world over, Audrey is respected and renowned for her fine work.
She's one of the most remarkable people I've ever met in my life.
And then you find out that in her mid-80s, she has the energy, vision, and drive to be the co-founder of a school in North Philadelphia.
She started to talk about the idea of a school, and I thought that was a great idea.
And Audrey said, I could just be the dog's body and do whatever needs to be done. I could sharpen pencils and make copies. And I laughed and I said, Audrey, you have many gifts, but just doing the office work is not one of them. You are a leader and a natural leader, and you have gifts of leadership, and we will need those gifts.
Sean Mullen introduced me to her, and I learned about her recent retirement. Audrey was with us almost every day to visit for lunch, or to help us pack lunch, or to help with the camp.
When the summer term was over, the school was literally closed, so we thought, well, you must be able to get in. So
Audrey looked at me and she said, you know, we must open these gates permanently for kids in the neighborhood.
I think it was a very logical next step and a wonderful way to refocus her energy. So it made perfect sense, serving a population that may not otherwise have much, if any, educational opportunity, and then within that, holding them to a very high standard and making sure that it is the best it can be. Typical Audrey.
Audrey sometimes asks me if it's naive of her to believe that we can accomplish the work that we've set out to accomplish at St. James School, if we can raise the kind of money that we need to raise, if we can make the kind of changes in the lives of people that we want to change, if we can see the kind of transformation that we hope will be able to help affect in the lives of our students. And when she asks me that question, I like to smile at her and ask her if it was naive of her to try to cure cancer.
well, I've always had a strong belief in a God who watches over us and takes care of us and has expectations of us to do a good job in the life he gave us. After all, I'm taking care of children here, and I was taking care of children with cancer. I had been fortunate. I had a very good a very extravagant education. And I know what education does for you. These kids need help too.
Her legacy is alive now. This is happening now.
Her energy is boundless. When she believes in something, she's committed.
And the joy of working hard for a good cause is a reward in itself.
Be able to focus on the school and really make that something incredibly special, I think that's been a tremendous thing to witness.
She had a plan B and she plans a plan C, and so I'm curious what her decade after this is going to be.
She cares about the school, she cares about the students, she cares about their families, she cares about this community, and she is a woman who cares.